Hey, one, thanks for the opportunity to sit down and talk with you guys. Been in this business a long time, and my experience has been our success is related to transparency and having honest dialogue back and forth. And so I look forward to working with all of you. Some might not know, I have a son who's a journalist, so I have an affinity for this thing. Hey, I'm incredibly honored to get confirmed as the RDA. I saw some of you at the confirmation hearing. Good to see you all again, and so very excited about that. Big believer in our success is related to how well we can synchronize the government, industry, operator kind of team. In my experience at SOCOM has been so we can close that distance between the operator and the acquirer and the technologist. Great things can happen. Likewise, between government, industry, academia, and so again, these events here are very powerful things. I'm still kind of getting my feet on the ground here. I think maybe day 14 or something on the job. I certainly don't have the answer to everything. I would say there's a couple things that are, as I think about being one of the guys to deliver on the Secretary's vision, to include, driving to a 355 ship Navy is a couple things I think will be important to that success, and kind of where my mind is. One is to reliably deliver capable capacity. So it's not just capacity, and it's not just capability, and it's not just delivering them over long periods of time. It's as an acquisition system between us and industry and technology and the operator, how do we reliably deliver capacity as fast as we can and then maximize the capability we have in there. So it's it's going to be a product of how fast we can deliver capacity, either meaning new builds or extending old builds, extending the ships we have. How do we rapidly put capability on those, and then how do we maximize the availability of the stuff we build and modify? So I think that's going to be a key feature. A second is going to be really increase our agility, and that's going to be how do we do big complex things as quickly as we can? How do we do smaller things, which are very important, even more rapidly? And to do that, it's going to be great partnership between government, industry, labs, small business. If you track what I did at SOCOM in small business, that was a huge component there. I think there's a great small business opportunities because they give us speed and innovation. The third thing is drive affordability in everything we're doing. And that's not just affordable new ships, it's affordability and how do we maintain those ships. And then, the last one is how do we have the workforce, both government, industry, as a nation, that's going to allow us to do this for the foreseeable future. So that's how do we recruit, train, retain the talent across the enterprise. Again, I haven't got this into a detailed plan yet, but those are, as I think about all the challenges I have in delivering the Secretary's vision, those are areas of kind of immediate focus for me. From that, I'll derive specific priorities, and we'll work way through those. So, that was kind of my message in there to the group assembled, and kind of my message to everybody here at the conference. Reliably deliver capable capacity, restore agility, enhance our agility, drive affordability into everything we're doing, right, and then build the workforce we need as a nation, deliver national security for our country. Happy to take specific questions.
We'll start with Lady to the left of you, sir.
Hi.
Lee Hudson inside the Navy.
Hi, Lee.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, so are you also planning to build a 355 ship fleet? We haven't really heard any mention of that at SNA this year.
So I'm sure you saw in legislation that the NDAA included the requirement to build towards that. That is certainly something we're working hard as we put together our next year's budget. And we look forward to talking to you about that when you see the budget roll out here for FY19.
Will you all include unmanned systems as ships?
In terms of the counting, I don't have the detail on exactly, what's in the count or not. What I would say on unmanned systems is I think that has huge potential for the Navy, whether that's in the air, on the surface, or under. How we talk about that in the ship count, I'm not quite sure, but if you think of my second discussion about capability. I think unmanned systems has the potential to rapidly increase the capability we have on both our current capacity of ships and then as we build to 355 ships.
Thank you.
Sure.
So Tony Capaccio?
Hi, Tony.
The Littoral convict ship is when the cross all your predecessor is born. You talk about it, faster deliveries or predictable deliveries. The LCS, Lockheed's is estimated to be running 11 months behind schedule for the rest of their block buy, Austal 5 months behind schedule to their contract dates. What initiatives do you plan to take to accelerate and push those delivery dates to eliminate the delays?
Yeah, sure. To tell you the truth, I haven't got a chance to dig into the details of all those. That's certainly something high on my list of programs to look at, as well as go down to shipyards and talk to them and figure out how do we close that gap so we deliver on the commitments we make and do that as cost effectively as we can. So I'm not there yet to tell you the specifics. That's work that's on the forefront of my thinking.
You know, when you were down at SOCOM and you were hearing all the criticisms about LCS, what were some of your impressions on that program?
Yeah, when I was at SOCOM, I was worried about delivering SOCOM stuff.
And now that you're in, go to Megan. Go ahead. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Hi, sir. Thank you so much for your time today.
Sure.
I know it's early on, but you spoke about agility. I know, you know, the Navy's obviously in the midst of doing some rapid prototyping and efforts for smaller, you know, whether it's unmanned surface vehicles, other types of things. How do you try to take that agility concept and apply it to the larger programs like shipbuilding? And are you confident that you might be able to get that a little bit faster, or are you kind of looking at the smaller things and maybe?
So great question. You know, again, I think we need to look at things with a portfolio approach. And so when I say that, I mean, I want to build everything as fast as we can. I think there are opportunities to, within these longer, more deliberate programs, build agility cycles in there. So it may take us a while to build a ship, and we're always going to look to drive that efficiency and timeline down. But if I think about the combat systems on the ship, how do I retain agility? So again, both for the holes we have in the water and the holes that we're building, that I can continue to operate at the pace of technology, at the pace of the threat, and at the pace of my war fighters' demands. And so that speaks to open architectures. It speaks to having a very diverse front end of bringing in non-traditional thinkers and the labs and enabling everybody in America to help give us ideas, and then creating the acquisition programs that can then quickly seize those ideas and bring those for consideration. The Congress has given us great authorities on rapid prototyping. We've got to make that not just a thing we do in small order, but make that part of the way we do business. One of the things I spoke to program managers about is I view them as conductors of a symphony. They need to be able to not only do what would be a traditional acquisition, but they need to understand how to do prize challenges and rapid prototyping and all those things. And then their job is to play all of those skills together in a coordinated, you know, as if you're conducting a symphony to deliver for the user. So I don't think of it as an either or. You don't either go fast or you don't go fast. I think of it as there's a lot of different ways to do things. The really good programs are the ones that can knit all that together. So while they're delivering on a deliberate, predictable, credible schedule, they're constantly delivering in innovation within that more deliberate schedule.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sydney?
Yeah. So to follow up on that, I mean, you come from obviously a very well-regarded background, and command has a strong history of procuring small stuff really well. But you know, there is no SOCOM battleship. So, you know, what are the things from your SOCOM days that apply? What doesn't apply? And what are some of the surprises where you've come to the Navy and said, "Oh, this actually really looks a lot like something we could have done at SOCOM," or "Oh, this looks like this is something I've never encountered because I've come from a different background"?
Sure. Great question. And this question of scale always, you know, I think comes about. One thing I would observe is, you know, SOCOM doesn't have the monopoly on great ideas, and I've been very pleasantly surprised at the innovation and the creative thinking and the drive to improve in the Navy. And so what I would take from SOCOM is, you know, what they do well is speed of decision making. What they do well is closing the distance between the operator and the acquirer and the technology. What they do well is try and have rapid iteration cycles amongst a more deliberate, longer program. I think all of those are good lessons. I think their ability to work with small business and integrate small business in, there's some great lessons learned there. And so I think those things are certainly scalable. The Navy has got a tremendously broad portfolio of things to do. The trick is for us as an organization to be able to do both the small, quick things and the larger, more deliberate things well, and not just one or the other.
I know you're new to the job. Are there specific acquisition programs ongoing where you'd like to kind of bring the price point down? The per unit cost of the new frigate has kind of emerged this week, and I think it was surprising to some people what that number was.
Yeah, again, if I mention kind of the four things I'm focused on, affordability is certainly one. And certainly driving affordability in the frigate is going to be critically important. I think competition will help us in that regard. I think our acquisition strategy of taking proven designs will help in that regard. And so I'm optimistic at the affordability of that as we work our way through the process. But I would say I'm not as focused on one single program as a culture of affordability. And again, important is not just on the acquisition of the piece of equipment. About 70% of our costs are in the sustainment of the equipment. So really looking at our sustainment strategies, ensuring they're synchronized with the way we're going to fight, and then making sure we have the right business models and contracts. I think there's tremendous opportunity space, both in what are we buying, and or if not more importantly, how are we supporting it and how do we drive affordability into that part of the process as well.
Last question, maybe? Okay. I was just curious, you mentioned that LCS is sort of forefront in the very beginning. Where does the DGG 1000 fit on your priority list? Because at panels here we've heard, on one hand, we don't know what we're doing with it. We don't know what ammunition put in it. And another panel we've heard, it's the future of the Navy. So I'm just wondering where you come on that. Is it a test ship? Is it an operational ship? If so, how operationally?
Yeah, I guess I would say I'm still early in the process, and I think that determination is really going to be driven by the users. I would say from my quick looks at it, the ship has tremendous capability and tremendous flexibility, and then I think it's really going to be up to our creativity, and I'm pretty confident as we get it, the dialogue with the users and the acquirers and the technologists. That ship has tremendous capability. How we're going to work our way through that, I think, is still something I'm getting up to speed on.
Is it something that is a priority, or is it something that's sort of like, where does that fit in the scale of things?
I think making maximum use of every asset we have is always a priority. So again, I go to that capable capacity, right? One of our forefronts is how do we maximize the combat power of the things we have right now as we think about the things we're building in the future. So again, reliable, capable capacity to the fleet is really where my head's at. I think DDG 1000 is an important piece of that. Not the only piece, but an important piece.
I'm going to slide in one more question, sir, from Otto.
Otto, hi.
You talked about reducing the cost of sustainment, which is 2/3 of the cost of any program. Been a lot of emphasis here, the Surface Navy guys, on commonality. If you can get the more commonality you can get in systems, the cheaper it is to buy them and the cheaper it is to maintain them. Right. What's your view on that?
Yeah, I've actually been, again, early in the job, I've been pleasantly surprised by the thoughtful use of similar combat systems across a variety of platforms. And again, it's not just the support, it's the training. And so I think another opportunity for us is, as the Navy is relooking how we train its sailors, where can we as acquisition folks enable that better, whether it's through common equipment, whether it's through new uses of artificial intelligence, machine learning to simplify what the operator sees in the course of our job. I mean, I think there's lots of opportunities for technology to help us more quickly, more affordably train, and that immediately converts directly into capable capacity because, again, building new ships without understanding how we build and train the crews, we've got to have all of that balanced and synchronized. And so, I work very closely with the operational side of, do we have that equation balanced? Because ultimately, until it's in the sailor's hand to fight, it's not combat capability, and we've got to focus all the way through that whole life cycle.
Commonality may not be only inside the Navy lifelines, but the other services. I mean, if the Army or the Air Force is doing something, you can do the same thing?
Yeah, certainly, and again, if you look at my experience at Special Operations Command, one of the things we're very good at is leveraging what already exists, and then, if as needed, make small modifications. Only reinvent when it doesn't exist. Don't reinvent just for the purposes of reinvention. I'm impressed to date with the way the Navy's doing that. Doesn't mean we don't have future opportunities to go forward with that, but a lot of the having common equipment across multiple combatants, I think, is a good first step.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.